He wears his pants the right way. Hi, Malcolm Nance. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
A little down this morning. We just talked to Glenn Kirshner about the DOJ. Yes, one sad tear of a clown. Mm-hmm. What is your take on what's going on? I mean, yesterday was it was like a body blow, right? Between this Trump, as we keep calling it, the Trump-sized hole in the Senate intelligence report on January 6th. Mitch McConnell saying we don't need any more investigation. That's done. We don't need John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Civil rights, voting rights are intact. I mean, it was an up is down day. And then the DOJ continuing to defend Trump against, the rape allegation and E. Jean Carroll. I don't know what they're doing on voting rights other than sending a letter to Arizona saying this may be violating federal law. What is your take this morning on all of this?
I have this saying when I go around the world and people say, oh, are you going to go to that country? Isn't it dangerous? Aren't you going to go to this place? Isn't that dangerous? I have a saying that I use often. ISIS and terrorists are not my travel agents. And I'm going to apply that now to the Republican Senate. We should not be using them as the guardrail on what we should and should not do. I'm not equating them to terrorists, but I am equating them to people who have their own agenda. And if we meet their agenda on their terms, the way they want it, then all we're doing is neutering ourselves.
Yeah.
I was just on public radio here in upstate New York. And one of the discussion points that came up was, what's going on with Chuck Schumer? And we have a great radio host here named a radio analyst here named Rosemary Armayo, and she said quite simply, he's not Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah,
he is into the comedy of the Senate. He is into wanting as much kumbaya as possible. There was actually a cartoon depiction of him and Nancy Pelosi on back when they had the President Show, and it was about Donald Trump. And it had her and him crafting a one-sentence statement that came out into a 190-page document. And at the end, they go, oh, I think we got all of that right. No, we are in a situation where, once again, we can all see it. American democracy is at risk. And when I say at risk, we are in an existential crisis. The Republicans are going out for full-scale warfare in 2022.
Yeah.
They intend to take back the House, and they take back, if they can, damage the Senate. All they need is one person to defect, right? Or one person to get ill and die and get replaced by a Republican. And they've made it clear they'll end American democracy. They will impeach Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on the first day. And then they will never again certify another victory for a Democrat.
And Malcolm, you said I wouldn't call them terrorists. Well, the people that attacked the Capitol are terrorists, and some of them enabled them, and some of them are still defending them. We just talked about the ones that just wrote to Merrick Garland to protest the treatment of the rioters. The same thing, oddly, as Glenn Kirshner just said, Vladimir Putin is doing, defending the rioters, defending the terrorists. I mean, this would be like going to bat for Al-Qaeda after 9/11. Like, are they being treated fairly?
Well, I can't recall where I heard this just recently, and I know it's probably MSNBC. But what we have is we are seeing a campaign for nullification of the insurrection.
Yeah.
I just wrote in this book that will be coming out soon. We'll soon get the cover art and we'll launch it here. But I just wrote in this book that they have a 4-phase strategy that they're implementing. Deny, which is deny that Trump ever lost the presidency and that he still is the president. Deny that there was an insurrection and that it was just, tourists and nice people going through, and deny that the Democrats have any legitimacy to govern. That's the first phase, deny. Then you have the attack phase, where they will blitz government and they will take back the House because we don't fight for it. Unless we do another 2018 and take 43 seats, we will lose the House in 2022. We're only, 10 seats out?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm still mad at Joe Biden for appointing 3 or 4 congressmen to his cabinet when we could have kept those seats, kept that margin.
Yeah.
We lost seats in a year that we defeated Trump.
Yeah.
Think about that. It meant Democrats didn't care about voting down ticket. So now we may lose the entire game just a few years later to Trump. You know, I monitor their communications and their chat rooms and all that. Yeah. They're not joking about appointing Trump Speaker of the House in 2023. You know, you don't have to be elected to Congress to be Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
They are deranged in how they're thinking.
Well, I mean,
but they're like people who are not just deranged, but clever and evil, and they will implement their plan. They've gone full Moriarty on us.
Yeah, listen to Mitch McConnell yesterday. We just played the
soundbite yesterday.
We just played yesterday him during the impeachment. Donald Trump is practically morally responsible for January 6th. We have a criminal justice. He hasn't gotten away with anything yet. Here he is yesterday.
Today's report is one of the many reasons I'm confident in the ability of existing investigations to uncover all actionable facts about the events of January 6th. I'll continue to support these efforts over any that seek to politicize the process.
I mean, nothing more to see here. Nothing more to see here, right?
Let's go full Benghazi on this. How many Benghazi investigations were there?
Yeah.
Everybody comes in, you're going to get grilled a minimum of 12 hours. You're going to get the full Hillary Clinton treatment. 4 people died in Benghazi from a terrorist attack. 2 of them were the actual quick reaction force that everybody claims was told to stand down, that came from Tripoli, 2 CIA subcontractors who were killed by a mortar. And by anybody who's been in the military knows, a mortar is an act of God. Yeah. You can't catch it. You can't stop it. 2 people were really killed in the terrorist attack. Now we have an incident in the Capitol by officers who were actually defending Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Right? He has a private security detail, right? Kevin McCarthy, everyone else in there. These people were killed defending them or died as a result of that. One woman who was a protester was trampled to death.
Yep.
She literally died. Her last word, you will not believe it. When I wrote this story, when she was being crushed to death by the throng that were trying to kill Officer Mike Fanone, they were chanting mockingly, "I can't breathe." This woman was literally dying because she couldn't breathe because she was being crushed by a throng that came there to end American democracy.
Yeah.
She died that way. Ashley Babbitt was an Air Force security policeman who literally had red circles around their aircraft where they were required to shoot to kill. She, of all people, should have known what was happening when she was going to breach the speaker's lobby and the bodyguard was there pointing a weapon at them. They live in another universe.
Yeah.
And they want us to play in their universe? Let's stop playing in their universe.
Well, again, it's, now the Republicans are basically parroting the same thing Vladimir Putin is saying. So Biden's meeting is coming up with Putin. Putin is obviously actively defending the rioters and saying they just had a political, questions. So how does Biden deal with Putin? What's going to happen in that meeting? I mean, he is obviously deliberately stepping up the provocations, correct?
Sure. You're seeing a return to normalcy, and it's very important that the United States return back to diplomacy, right, and high-level power, geopolitics, to get things back to normal. Coming in and doing foreign policy with a tweet and insulting your allies. Before Biden goes and meets Putin, he's going to have every one of his allies will be on the same page with him. Because if we're going to do further action against Russia, Russia needs to understand that this is not willy-nilly. They can go out and buy a president of the United States, which they did. they bought Donald Trump. In one way or the other, we're going to find out how, whether it was just through loyalty, ideology, some bizarre belief that he was a daddy figure for Donald Trump, or the promise of a multi-billion-dollar hotel, right, that Donald Trump thought he was going to get, with a spa, by the way, called Ivanka. So all of these things are, we need to reset. And Russia needs to understand that they're not playing with a child whose puppet strings that they can manipulate on a moment-to-moment basis. They fully, they had a very, very willful asset in Donald Trump who was doing their bidding, okay? He was not the Manchurian candidate, right? This was the Manchurian candidate running on the platform that he would be Russia's Manchurian candidate.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was their asset. What's going to happen with Joe Biden here is they're going to get read the Riot Act. And as I'm starting to see quite happily, we are going after their money now. Yeah. And so the FBI,
and that was good. We got back some
cyber criminals.
We got back some of this money from the ransomware attack, correct? Because it was cryptocurrency.
No, yeah, but we know who's doing the ransomware attack now. We know their avenues of how they have to get their dirty, illicit money back in there. Hey, I am all for the global Magnitsky Act, which Bill Browder has been pushing, which is we seize your assets worldwide. If they're in the United States, that executive jet comes into the United States airspace, Air Force forces it down, it goes into the U.S. Air Force inventory. We take your mega yachts when they're on international waters with SEAL Team 6. We just go after all your resources. And people say, oh, that's a provocation against Russia. Hey, these are rich billionaires funding this, not the government of Russia. But when we take billionaire money, we're taking the government of Russia's money. They are the ones propping him up and keeping the KGB director in fresh-baked croissants being flown in from Marseille every day on a private plane.